chosen one. A betrayal meant for you has been uncovered. Someone you've never met is about to step forward with the truth. Their arrival isn't coincidence, it's intervention. Ocho, what they reveal dismantles a trap that's been quietly forming around you, one designed to limit your movement, confuse your vision, and redirect your path without you realizing it. The one behind this wears spirituality like a costume. They speak wisdom, perform compassion, and play the victim so convincingly that others rush to defend them. Their words sound healing, but their intentions are cold. They use the language of growth to mask the instinct to control. They offer guidance that subtly weakens your confidence, advice that redirects your strength, and concern that quietly plants doubt. You felt the chill beneath the warmth. You sensed the manipulation hiding inside care. Your intuition clocked them long before evidence appeared. This person sees you as competition. Your growth feels like theft to them. Your progress highlights the stagnation they refuse to confront. Your light exposes the hollowness they've been decorating with performance. Instead of doing the inner work, they chose imitation. Instead of healing, they chose strategy. Instead of evolving, they chose to interfere with your trajectory. They studied you, your patterns, your rhythms, your soft spots, not to protect you, but to predict you. Like someone casing a house before a robbery, they mapped your habits, mirrored your language, and learned when you're most open, most tired, most generous. They plan to arrive as help while positioning themselves as a gatekeeper to your next level. The trap wasn't meant to destroy you outright. It was meant to slow you, to keep you circling old lessons, to siphon clarity into confusion. But timing betrayed them. Intervention doesn't always look dramatic. Sometimes it looks like truth delivered by a stranger with no incentive to lie. Sometimes protection arrives in the form of exposure. The meeting that's coming cracks the illusion. The narrative they crafted collapses. The mask slips. What was hidden in plain sight becomes obvious, and once seen cannot be unseen. This isn't punishment. This is correction. The field around you is recalibrating. You're being moved away from distortion and back into alignment. What tried to attach to your light can't survive clarity. You don't need revenge. You don't need confrontation. Distance and discernment do the work for you. Trust what you sensed before you had proof. Your intuition wasn't paranoia, it was intelligence. And now the confirmation arrives, not to shake you, but to free you from a path that was never yours to walk. The strangers saw this firsthand. They witnessed conversations where your name was spoken like a problem to be solved, not a person to be understood. Rooms went quiet when you were mentioned. Plans were sketched around you as if you were an obstacle in a strategy meeting. The root of it is money, inheritance, assets, access, opportunities they believe you're blocking simply by existing. Your presence reroutes outcomes they feel entitled to. Their fixation isn't only greed, it's spite. They don't just want what you have, they need you to lose it so they can feel restored. Documents were altered, not loudly, not sloppily, quietly. Clauses shifted, timelines rearranged, protections rewritten into vulnerabilities. Contracts designed to shield you were turned into instruments of leverage. Language was crafted to look fair while carrying hidden hooks. The stranger saw drafts passed hand to hand, watched signatures rehearsed, watched people speak of legality while planning harm. What was presented as support was engineered to become a cage. They recruited the stranger to bait you with an opportunity. It arrives dressed as urgency, wrapped in credibility, backed by impressive names and polished urgency. It flatters your momentum, it mirrors your goals, it pressures you with timing. Sign now or miss the window. But the moment the ink dries, control shifts. Liabilities slide onto your shoulders. Access moves out of your hands. Your freedom becomes conditional. This was never a deal. It was a setup wearing a blessing's face. Your orchestrator didn't work alone. A network was built. Some accomplices understand the harm and chose it anyway. Others were nudged, misled, recruited through half-truths and emotional leverage. An authority figure has been fed a curated story about you. Selective facts, distorted motives, planted doubts. They believe they're acting in justice while enforcing a narrative that was engineered for them. Meanwhile, your reputation has been quietly salted in social circles. Subtle comments. Concern disguised as care. I'm worried about them, used as a blade. Public opinion is being shaped before you even know there's an attack forming. This is how traps move in modern rooms. No ropes, no shadows, just paperwork, whispers, and reputations steered in advance. But exposure disrupts timing. Once you see the pattern, the mechanism fails. Delay breaks leverage. Beat verification breaks illusion. Silence breaks the bait. You're not paranoid. You're perceptive. This isn't fear. It's intelligence coming online. Step slowly. Read twice. Ask for independent eyes. What was designed to close around you loses power the moment you refuse to move on their urgency. The stranger isn't innocent. At first, they participated, drawn in by money, access, pressure, or the quiet promise of proximity to power. They played their part in small ways that felt harmless at the time. But witnessing the fraud up close, hearing the venom when masks dropped, seeing how far the harm was meant to go, something in them cracked. The weight of knowing became heavier than the cost of telling you. Silence started to feel like complicity. So they chose consequence over comfort. That choice is what brings them to you now. This has included surveillance, not cinematic, but persistent. Your words were tracked, your moods noted, your online presence observed for patterns, your vulnerabilities cataloged and ranked, your timing studied. They learned when you're open, when you're stretched thin, when you're hopeful. Your orchestrator waited for those windows of stress to present help, to slide in solutions that carried strings. What looked like care was reconnaissance. What sounded like concern was data collection. The goal was proximity without suspicion. There's also a spiritual layer to this. Attempts were made to drain you, confuse your direction, weaken your resolve. Subtle pressure meant to erode your clarity. Emotional interference meant to dull your intuition. But your protection held. The interference didn't land. The fog never fully settled. Your field rejected what wasn't aligned. That resistance exposed the limits of their influence, and when subtlety failed, the approach escalated into legal and financial warfare. This is the pattern when control can't touch the source. When your light isn't dependent on their approval, they try to alter the environment around you. If they can't dim what's within you, they attempt to constrict what surrounds you. Your clarity made them uncomfortable. Your steadiness disrupted their narrative. Your growth made their stagnation visible. So they moved from manipulation to mechanics, paperwork, timing, pressure, reputation, anything that could create friction where influence failed. But here's the shift. Escalation reveals desperation. Desperation makes mistakes, and mistakes leave trails. The warning arrives not to scare you, but to realign you. This is your cue to slow down offers, question urgency, and separate assistance from access. Protection doesn't always look like walls. It looks like discernment. It looks like choosing neutral ground, independent review, and time. What couldn't penetrate your spirit won't succeed through contracts if you move with clarity. You don't need to fight the web. You step outside of it. Now that you see the tactics, they lose power. False urgency is meant to steal your time to think. When everything is now or never, it's usually because clarity would kill the deal. Isolation is meant to cut off mirrors. People who would ask the questions they don't want asked. Flattery softens your boundaries. Save your energy manufactures debt, so you feel obligated to comply. Complexity hides the hooks inside language that looks professional but isn't protective. Gaslighting reframes your discernment as fear, so you doubt the very signal designed to keep you safe. Incremental commitments move you step by step into a position you'd never choose all at once. Pieces are already in motion. Narratives have been planted in rooms you weren't in. Lawyers have been consulted. Assets quietly repositioned. timelines drafted. The machinery started turning before you were warned, which is why some pressure may already feel in progress. That this doesn't mean you're late. It means timing is shifting in your favor. Once you recognize the pattern, you stop reacting to their pace and start setting your own. Pause breaks leverage. Verification breaks illusion. Independent review breaks traps. Distance collapses manipulation. You don't have to confront the machine. You step out of its gears. Clarity is your protection. Your response is precision, not panic. Document everything the stranger shares. Dates, names, messages, drafts, timelines. Get independent legal counsel with no shared loyalties or hidden incentives. Sign nothing without full review and cooling off time. Gather your own evidence, communications, changes in terms, inconsistencies, pressure tactics. Expect escalation. When control slips, desperation rises, and desperation makes people sloppy. Sloppiness creates proof. Move quietly, move carefully, let clarity lead. Flying monkeys may appear, people sent to pressure you, confront you, or check on you, genuinely believing the story they were given. Some will come with concern, others with accusation, some with emotional leverage dressed as care. Don't argue with them. They're not the source, they're the delivery system. Engaging in debate only feeds the narrative they were trained to repeat. Protect your energy. Keep your responses minimal, factual, and bounded. Let truth move through proper channels, not emotional corridors. What was built to trap you is already transforming into evidence against them. Every altered document carries fingerprints. Every rushed clause leaves a trail. Every message designed to pressure reveals intent. What they framed as legality becomes proof of manipulation. What they sold as protection becomes proof of coercion. Paper remembers. Systems log. Timelines don't lie. The architecture of the trap records the hands that built it. Authority figures who were fed a curated version of you will learn they were used. The story they enforced will crack under verification. The selective facts won't survive full context. The concern they acted on will be revealed as engineering. This isn't about humiliation. It's about correction. Roles reverse when the record speaks louder than rumor. Those who thought they were administering justice will recognize they were enforcing a script written by someone with an agenda. You don't need to defend your character in every room. Integrity doesn't require performance. Let processes do the sorting. Calm documentation outlasts emotional persuasion. Quiet accuracy outlives loud accusation. When truth is structured, timelines, originals, independent review, it moves through institutions with weight. The more they pushed urgency, the clearer the coercion becomes in hindsight. The more they isolated you, the more obvious the manipulation looks when mapped. Expect noise. When narratives unravel, messengers multiply. Pressure increases when leverage weakens. This is not escalation of danger, it's exposure of dependency. The system they built requires your reaction to function. Without it, the machine stalls. Stay boring to manipulation. Be precise with records. Be slow with commitments. Be neutral in tone. You're not here to convince intermediaries. You're here to preserve a clean line of truth. What was designed to close around you is opening in reverse. Traps collapse when light enters the mechanism, and once the mechanism is visible, it can't pretend to be help ever again. You weren't warned to be afraid. You were warned to be prepared. Fear narrows vision. Preparation sharpens it. This message didn't arrive to make you anxious. It arrived to make you steady, to shift you from reaction into readiness, to remind you that awareness is not weakness, it's authority. You're not bracing for impact. You're aligning your footing. This isn't your destruction. This is your elevation. Destruction takes what you are. Elevation reveals who you've become. What tried to approach you did so. Because you've outgrown the environments where the small tactics work. When your level changes, the tests change too. You're no longer being challenged by obvious opposition. You're being tested by sophistication, timing, and optics. That's not punishment. That's proof of range. You saw the trap. You stepped around it. That alone marks the shift. The old version of you would have walked into urgency, trusted performance, or explained yourself to intermediaries. This version pauses, verifies, chooses neutrality over narrative. Discernment is now reflex. Boundaries are now default. You didn't need to fight the web because you didn't step into it. You recognized the pattern and changed your path. That's mastery. What was hidden is coming to light. Darkness relies on speed, secrecy, and confusion. Light arrives through documentation, timing, and witnesses. Truth doesn't need theatrics. It needs structure. The moment records exist, the moment timelines are compared, the moment independent eyes review the story, the illusion collapses under its own inconsistencies. Exposure isn't loud at first. It's procedural. Quiet corrections ripple outward until the story can't hold its shape. Chosen ones don't fall to schemes built in darkness. They rise, not by spectacle, by alignment, by restraint, by refusing to be rushed into cages disguised as gifts, by choosing clarity over charisma, process over pressure, verification over validation. Rising looks like becoming unmovable in your center while the environment rearranges itself around truth. Rising looks like watching mechanisms fail because they were built for someone you're no longer willing to be. This season is about sovereignty, about choosing your pace, about letting time, records, and neutral review do what emotion never could. You're not required to convince the misled or confront the manipulative. Your role is to remain clean in your process and precise in your boundaries. Integrity is your leverage now. What tried to control you revealed itself by trying too hard. What tried to corner you documented its own intent. What tried to dim you forced a contrast that made your clarity brighter. The escalation didn't overpower you. It exposed them. Stand where you are. Breathe. Let the dust settle. You're not late. You're right on time. This wasn't a warning of danger. It was confirmation of ascent. If this message resonated, take it as confirmation, not fear. You weren't shown this to panic. You were shown this to move with clarity, patience, and authority. What was meant to trap you is unraveling. What was hidden is being brought to light. You don't have to chase truth. Truth is surfacing on its own. Move slowly with decisions. Protect your peace. Trust your discernment. Let time and truth do the revealing. If this spoke to your spirit, subscribe to the channel so you stay connected to messages of clarity, protection, and elevation. Like the video to anchor this word and share it with someone who needs this reminder today. Chosen ones don't fall to schemes built in darkness. They rise.